So today I have officially ran out of different ways to intro Ruben Amorim's 3-4-3 and a discussion about his whole system, so today we're going to skip that. United play a 3-4-3, the wingbacks are very important, but so far we've struggled to find the right balance on the left-hand side. Until now. So one of the reasons why I feel that United have struggled to find a balance on the left-hand side of the pitch ever since Amorim came into the club is because of the lack of variety of different profiles that can play in this position. You see, if we look at Patrick Dorgu, if we look at Luke Shaw, we look at Diego Leon, we looked at Tyrell Malacia last season, they're all left-backs, which mean they all want to do the same thing, they all want to play in a similar way, and whilst they all have the capability of getting forward, they all lack true attacking instinct. Whereas on the right-hand side, it's a little bit different. Yes, we have our Diogo Dallos, our Mazrawis, who are, once again, fullbacks, but we also have Ahmad on the right-hand side, who brings a different skill set, really, to this position. When he drops a little bit deeper and plays in this role, he's more aggressive, he's more attacking, he's more of a dribbler player, and he's more creative as well. United haven't had that luxury on the left-hand side, and for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, I've been sitting here in live streams, which you guys should check out in the future, by the way, saying that Manchester United need to find a similar sort of profile, but over on the left-hand side. And we may have just found one in the academy in the form of Bendito Mantato. Now, this is a player that we spoke about around 6 months ago. And at the time, the discussion was about his ability to potentially play as a right-sided 10 or even a right wing-back. Today, the conversation is about the left-hand side because we've been seeing more and more of him as a left-back. That's where he's been playing for the England youth teams. And suddenly, this position looks like it could suit him. So why does the wing-back position potentially suit Mantato so well? Well, on face value, it's really obvious, I feel. The wing-back role is quite a niche one. It's not one that we see many different teams using. And the reason for that is because it's sort of a combination of different roles, the winger and the fullback, which gives you wing-back. Which means in moments, you are responsible for defending almost like a traditional fullback, tucked into a back five. And then in the next moment, you are expected to be all the way up here playing as a winger. It's a very tricky task. United have a lot of players that can tuck in and play over here, but not so many that can go up the other end. Mantato can do both. And what I like is that he is a more attacking option. Let's say we are playing against a team that we expect to dominate, perhaps a home game at Old Trafford against a newly promoted side, and we want someone a little bit more aggressive than Dorgu. Dorgu, I think, has done pretty well since he came to the club, but he's not naturally an attacking player. He's not someone who's got amazing final third delivery. He's not great at dribbling 1 versus 1. And just naturally, his instinct isn't quite as aggressive as what a winger would be, which is where Mantato potentially comes in really handy. In terms of his skill set, we have spoken about it before, but we will do a quick recap. Strong on the ball, really good at protecting the ball, which is often something that you need from the wing-back position because there are moments where you are receiving with your back to goal. You need to be able to look after that ball, and from here, probably be able to roll either side, be able to spin outside the player and also roll into the empty space in the middle of the pitch. The other thing that we are looking for from our wing-back, though, when we are trying to be more aggressive, is speed, is acceleration, and again, is aggression and dribbling ability. Mantato brings all of that because he has spent so much time in the academy playing as a winger. He is a much more direct player than someone like Dorgu. When he sees a fullback in front of him, he wants to attack him, and his acceleration is extremely impressive. He is rapid over the first few yards. But what I love is he isn't just a player that sort of knocks the ball and then runs after it into a big open space. He's much more cute, if you like, with the way that he's playing. He's going to keep the ball close to him. He's going to accelerate. Then he's going to decelerate to confuse the defender before then accelerating again. And he always puts that defender on the back foot. The defender's never quite sure what's coming next from Mantato. And as a wing-back profile, that could be really useful. If United are getting stuck sort of rotating the ball around the back, give it into someone like Mantato, like we sometimes do with Ahmad on the right-hand side, and let them take people on and be explosive, like Mantato is. He's a two-way dribbler. He can go on his left foot, he can go on his right foot. He's just sort of a menace. Of course, still an incredibly young player, not necessarily ready to start every week, but that's not what we're asking for. We're asking for a squad role here. I think he's good enough to offer us something different on this side. So how about a drawback? He's an incredibly young footballer, so he can't be perfect for the role, surely. If not, he would already be playing. Well, let's talk about a potential drawback, and that is an instinct or a habit that he has as a player, which is actually similar to Dorgu. So Amorim might actually like it. When we watch Patrick Dorgu, we know that he's a player who is actually really good at carrying the ball. He's really good at drawing fouls, but what he likes to do with the ball is come inside the pitch when he's dribbling. So if there's open space, sure, he loves to fly around on the overlap. We've seen him in that position loads. But if he's actually got the ball at his feet, he doesn't want to dribble down the line as much. He likes to carry inside. We can see in his heat map here, particularly as he moves towards the final third, he sort of comes more and more central, closer and closer to the goal. And sometimes that's a problem in terms of it leaves United lacking natural width in the team. We know that Cunha typically is a player that likes to come inside. If we've got a wing-back doing the same as well, and combine that with the lack of winger profile down this side of the pitch, United can potentially become a little bit repetitive, a little bit toothless. And there is a concern that Mantato does the same thing. Now, the performance against Lincoln really actually highlighted this sort of potential problem, potential tool, really, with Mantato. On the left-hand side, when you've got the ball in this position as a wing-back, you've got two options. You can be aggressive and go down the line, or you can come inside the pitch. Now, I should point out the fact that he played as a fullback in this game rather than a wing-back. So tactically, it's quite different in terms of the starting position and things like that. But I think we can still see his sort of nature with the way that he wants to play on the ball. On the right-hand side, when we saw him coming inside, we assumed it was because he's left-footed. But the fact that he still does it on the left suggests that these are actually just the areas he likes to play. He likes to be inside the pitch with, ideally, someone a little bit wider. You can see it again here. For me, I think a wing-back sort of knocks the ball down the line, flies down the left-hand side, and then crosses into the box, for example. But Mantato doesn't want to do that. He wants to actually sort of carry inside the pitch. He wants to come a little bit more central. Again here, he wins the tackle in the wide position, but his first touch is looking to bring the ball inside. And he doesn't sort of correct himself and then turn out wide. He wants to go into these spaces. He wants to be aggressive. He wants to drive forward with the ball into these positions. And this example is probably the best one. What you expect here from a left-footed player is he's going to knock the ball down the line and then he's going to whip in a delivery with his left foot. But he doesn't. Again, he carries the ball inside. Again here, he could go down the line, but he wants to come inside the pitch again. Now, you could argue that this is potentially a weakness. Is it a little bit repetitive, a little bit predictable? Maybe. But also, maybe it's not predictable because wingbacks don't usually do this. Now, what I should point out is that this isn't necessarily a weakness for Mantato, and it might actually be something that Amorim wants to do because he literally signed Dorgu, who does the same thing. We've spoke already about Cunha and the fact that whilst he does like to come inside as a 10, he also does like to drift about the pitch and try and get on the ball wherever he can, and sometimes that will involve popping up out wide. Cunha can be a relatively selfish player, so I think around him what you need is selfless players that are happy to pass the ball and play that sort of pass and move football. Dorgu does that quite well. I think Mantato is the same. I think he also does it well, but again has those more natural attacking instincts. He wants to move into the final third, and these two actually down this side of the pitch could have a really good dynamic. Now, it's probably a similar situation to what we've got with Ahmad and Mbumo, where it's going to take time. There will be moments where they sort of pop up in the same zone, but over time, if you allow them to work with each other, I think this could actually be quite nice. And the big difference from what we've got on the other side is that Cunha is right-footed, so you would think he comes inside, and Mantato is left-footed, so with coaching, you would imagine he could become a player who is more willing to go into these wider zones. And we can see, of course, naturally, the balance that is going to bring to the team, and also, it's just more attacking because this man's a winger, whereas Patrick Dorgu always feels more like a fullback, just who ends up high. So the question is, what does Mantato need to add to his game to become a genuine option on the left-hand side for Manchester United? There is always the opinion at his football club that if you are good enough, you are old enough, but as of yet, he hasn't had his opportunity, despite always being close to the team in terms of training and things like that. I think he's clearly a player who is valued highly at the football club. How does he get himself into the first team? A first team which has struggled so far this season. Well, I think he needs to take some of his traits from the right-hand side to the left. Over the past few seasons, he's played as a right-sided attacker. And when we spoke about him before, something that we loved so much was that he was a two-way threat, that he would come inside onto his left and shoot, or he would go down the outside onto his right foot and cross. And he was actually quite capable crossing with both feet, which was really fun to watch. On the left at the moment, it feels a bit more predictable. It feels that when he gets the ball, he wants to come inside. He's got to add that two-way threat. He's got to be able to go the other way. If he can do that, it immediately becomes very difficult to drop him. Again, particularly for those games where you're trying to break down a low block, having that extra attacking player is something that United could do, certainly something that we could do with. Dorgu against a low block, is he the player to dribble past someone? No. Is he the player to deliver a pinpoint cross? Not particularly regularly. Someone like Mantato can be. Again, I think player instinct are so important in football. You can give them these different tactical ideas and ask them to play in different zones, but instincts at the end of the day, habits of players are really important. And naturally, an attacker here. Someone who has played as an attacker for the past few seasons. Someone who, in my eyes, is still a winger, wants to be aggressive. For me, is always going to be someone who takes more people on and takes more risks. We've seen it with Amad. The second that he comes into the team, he's just a completely different type of player to Diogo Dalot because he's an attacker. His instinct is to attack, is to create, is to take risks, is to make chances. And I think it would be really good for the balance of United if we could get Mantato doing the same on the other side. So he needs to offer that sort of two-way threat a little bit more. And then after that, it's probably about making his end product in the final third just more reliable. We're talking about bringing him into the team for his attacking strengths. Those strengths need to become stronger. You know, that ball into the box has to be more consistent. Can he chip in with more goals at youth level to earn that opportunity in the first team? That's something that I would like to see. I think for him, really, it's a matter of time. I am very confident that at some point he will play for United. I'm not sure that he's necessarily going to be someone that starts for the club, you know, in the long term over the next decade. But I think it's only a matter of time before he gets his opportunity. Perhaps with the African Cup of Nations coming up, or if we were to get a favourable FA Cup draw, for example, that could really be his opportunity to come into the team. And I think we should do it, to be honest. I think the case of Mantato really proves why the Manchester United Academy is so important. Over the past few seasons, we've had to spend a lot of money trying to plug different gaps, fill different holes, and increase the level of certain parts of the squad. But financially, that sort of restricts you in the future, right? It's difficult. We can't just throw money at every single problem. Something that we have historically done well is turn to our academy and found solutions. Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo in the past couple of seasons have been incredibly important players. And Mantato can be as well. There is a spot there on the left-hand side. There's room for a more attacking one. Someone who's going to take more risks again. And Mantato could be exactly that. I don't think he's going to get his opportunity just yet. You know, I don't see it coming probably even before the turn of the year. But in the new year, I would really like to see him given an opportunity, again, in those games where you feel you're going to dominate, or in game states where perhaps you're a goal down and you want that extra attacker. I think someone like Mantato on the left-hand side would be a breath of fresh air. I think he would bring something different, and importantly, provide competition for Dorgu as well, which is incredibly important. Playing an academy player always helps with the connection with the fan base as well. So if I was Ruben Amorim, I would be keeping an eye on this young man because I think he's got a very decent opportunity to break into the Manchester United team at some point. And if he does well, he could make the spot his own when we need that more attacking player. But that's all from me today. That's all I wanted to say on Mantato. Now I want to pass it over to you guys and hear your thoughts. Do you think this could work? Do you think there's an argument for doing a similar experiment with Amad on the left-hand side? If so, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that in the comments as well. Perhaps you would like a video on it. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.